It always starts with silence, not the comforting silence of peace, but the heavy, soul-pressing quiet that comes after every door has been slammed in your face, after every prayer has gone unanswered, and after every dream you ever held close starts to fade like mist in morning light. That's where Maya found herself, kneeling in the darkness of her small apartment, her face buried in her hands, tears rolling down as if they carried years of unspoken grief. The world had forgotten her. People had given up on her. And worst of all, she feared maybe even God had stopped listening. But what Maya didn't know was that sometimes God doesn't speak in thunder. Sometimes he whispers through the wreckage. And in the quietest moment of her breakdown, something ancient and eternal stirred within her, a whisper not from the world around her, but from deep within. My spirit lives in you. Maya was 29 years old and on the verge of surrender. Life had been a relentless storm. Her parents had died in a car crash when she was just 16, leaving her to raise her younger brother, Aaron. She gave up on college to work 2 jobs and support him. She fed him first when there wasn't enough food, tucked him in on nights she wanted to scream from exhaustion, and told him stories when she had none left in her own heart. Years passed, and Aaron, now in his 20s, had chosen a path of reckless rebellion, drugs, gangs, jail. Each time the phone rang after midnight, Maya's heart shattered a little more. Every time she bailed him out, he promised change. And every time he broke it like it was nothing. Maya's savings vanished, her dreams disappeared, and her health began to crumble. She was haunted by guilt, shame, and the deep ache of asking the same question again and again. Why me, God? Why must I carry the weight for everyone else's mistakes? Her apartment was more like a box of forgotten sorrows than a home. Faded walls, broken window blinds, and a cold that seeped into her bones no matter how many blankets she wrapped around herself. One night, after another heated call with Aaron, who'd stolen money from her again, Maya collapsed on the floor. Her chest felt tight, and the air around her seemed to freeze. Her tears soaked the wooden floor. I can't do this anymore, she sobbed. I'm empty, God. I have nothing left. I think you forgot about me. She didn't expect an answer, but something happened. The air in the room shifted. Not warmer, not colder, but still, profoundly still. A peace that had no explanation began to press against her sorrow. Then came the voice, not from outside, but from within, echoing in her chest and reverberating through her soul like the slow toll of a distant bell. My spirit lives in you. It wasn't thunderous. It wasn't dramatic. But it was so real, so absolute, that Maya sat up in stunned silence. She didn't speak. Couldn't. Her tears stopped. Her racing heart calmed. And for the first time in years, she felt seen, known, held. The next morning, Maya didn't jump out of bed with joy. No, that's not how healing works. But something had shifted. She looked in the mirror and didn't just see tired eyes and hollow cheeks. She saw a flicker, a small light buried deep beneath the ruins. She stood before the mirror and whispered, "If you're really with me, show me how to live like it." For the next few days, odd things began to happen. The grumpy neighbor who never spoke offered her soup one evening. Her boss, who had always overlooked her, randomly gave her a day off with pay. A stranger at the bus stop turned to her and said, "You look like you're carrying the world. Just know there's something divine in you." Then he walked away. Coincidences? Maybe, but Maya knew better. She felt it, a presence walking beside her, not rescuing her from pain, but giving her strength she never knew existed. At night, she began to pray again. Not the desperate cries for rescue she used to mutter, but honest, raw, soul-bearing conversations. And each time, she heard the same quiet whisper rise inside her like a lighthouse beam cutting through fog. My spirit lives in you. One evening, Maya returned home to find Aaron sitting on the steps of her apartment, his head in his hands. His clothes were soaked in sweat and grime. His eyes, once wild and angry, now looked like a child's, lost and terrified. "I got into some trouble," he murmured. "They're looking for me. I don't know where to go." The old Maya would have scolded him, shouted, maybe even turned him away. But this time, she didn't speak right away. She knelt in front of him, took his trembling hands in hers, and looked him in the eye. "You don't need to run anymore," she said. "I'm not your savior. But the spirit that's holding me together, he's waiting for you too." Aaron stared at her, confused. Maya smiled. "You may have destroyed everything else, but not my soul. That doesn't belong to me. That belongs to God. And his spirit lives in me. And now, I'm ready to fight, not for you, but with you." That night, Aaron broke down. Years of bottled pain, rage, and guilt spilled out. They talked for hours, sometimes in silence, sometimes through tears. Maya didn't try to fix him. She didn't offer empty words. She just was present, still unwavering, because for the first time, she understood the secret God had hidden inside her all along. The storm wasn't meant to destroy her. It was meant to awaken the divine within her. Maya didn't become a saint overnight. She still struggled, still wept, still got angry. But the difference now was undeniable. She wasn't alone. Not just because Aaron was trying to change, but because something infinite was moving through her. Her pain became purpose. Her silence became strength. And deep inside her soul, echoing through every heartbeat, every breath, every fragile step forward, was the eternal promise: "My spirit lives in you." She had no idea that her journey was only beginning, that a test greater than any she'd face would soon rise before her. But she was no longer afraid, because when God lives inside you, no darkness can swallow your light. Days passed, and with each sunrise, Maya began to see the world through different eyes. It wasn't that her circumstances had suddenly become easier. Money was still tight. Aaron still struggled with withdrawal, and the weight of her responsibilities hadn't lessened. But now there was an anchor inside her soul, a stillness, a knowing. The words echoed often like a secret song. "My spirit lives in you." Aaron, now sober for 7 days, was quiet and distant. He spent most of his time on the balcony, staring at the sky as if searching for something he'd never noticed before. Guilt had sunk deep into his bones, and though he said little, his eyes said everything. He carried the weight of 1,000 bad decisions. And Maya, she recognized that look. It was the same one she had worn not so long ago, but she didn't push. She simply placed a Bible on the table near him, marked a page, and left a note: "When you're ready." That evening, Maya received a phone call from her old friend Anya, someone she hadn't spoken to in almost 4 years. Anya was a vibrant woman of faith once, full of life and spiritual fire, but something had changed. Her voice was brittle, her words rushed. "Maya, I don't know why, but I had a dream last night. You were standing in a river of fire, and your skin should have burned, but you were untouched. You looked at me and said, 'God is not silent. He's speaking through the pain.'" I woke up shaking. Maya closed her eyes. She hadn't told anyone about what she'd been experiencing, the whisper of God's presence, the internal transformation. But now, here was confirmation. This wasn't in her head. Something greater was at work. "There's something I need to do," Anya continued, "but I'm scared. I think I'm being led to go back to my old church, but I've been gone too long. I feel unworthy." "You're not," Maya said gently. "None of us are, but he still lives in us. He doesn't wait for us to be perfect. He waits for us to say yes." That night, Maya wept again, but not from pain, this time from awe. She was beginning to understand the real power of God's Spirit within her. It didn't only carry her. It poured out, rippled, and touched those around her, often without her even trying. Her healing wasn't private. It was divine infection, holy wildfire. And it was just beginning. But with every rise in spirit, the enemy always strikes back. It happened 3 nights later. Aaron had gone out for a walk and hadn't returned. Hours passed. Maya called him, messaged him, searched nearby streets. Nothing. Fear crept in again, the kind that clutches a throat and darkens every corner of hope. At 3:13 a.m., her phone finally rang. A gruff voice spoke. "You a sister?" "Yes," she breathed, heart pounding. "He's alive." "Barely. Found him behind the old convenience store on 8th. Looks like someone tried to beat the truth out of him." Maya's knees buckled. She dropped the phone, grabbed her coat, and ran to the cold streets. barefoot, not even feeling the sting of concrete against her skin. When she reached the alleyway, what she saw broke something in her. Aaron's face was swollen. Blood caked around his lips and eyes. His clothes were torn. A paramedic was treating him, but he was barely conscious. The police asked her questions. She answered on autopilot. Gang revenge. A debt Aaron had promised was paid long ago. Apparently not. She sat in the hospital waiting room for hours. Silence returned, not the sacred kind, but the cruel one, the one that whispers, "See? Nothing changes. All your faith was for nothing." But then a janitor passed by her and stopped. He was old, with kind eyes and a crooked back. He looked at her and said, "Some spirits are born in comfort, others in fire. Yours? That's the rare kind. Fire-born souls don't break. They rise." Maya blinked. "Do I know you?" But the man just smiled and walked away, humming softly as he pushed his cart down the hall. Aaron survived, but just barely. When he finally woke up, his first words were, "I saw light in the darkness." And a voice, it said, "Not yet. My spirit lives in you too." Maya's breath caught. Something inside her trembled, not with fear, but with confirmation. God wasn't only working through her pain. He was now moving through Aaron's brokenness too. This wasn't just about survival. This was transformation. Aaron spent weeks in recovery, and Maya spent that time in prayer meditation, writing in her journal. She began speaking words of power over herself every morning. God's Spirit lives in me. I carry light. I carry healing. I carry him. And slowly, the world around her began to shift. She got offered a better job, one that paid more and allowed her to work from home while Aaron recovered. Her apartment, once dim and cold, now felt warm, not because of new furniture, but because it had become a place of revival. Worship music filled the walls. Scriptures written in ink decorated the mirror. And most of all, a sense of purpose saturated the air. People began coming to her. A woman from the grocery store, who noticed the peace in her eyes, asked if she could talk. A teenage boy from a neighborhood asked for help with a prayer, because "I don't think God listens to me." Maya found herself speaking life into others without realizing it. Her trauma hadn't disqualified her. It had refined her. Her scars became sacred. And she finally understood the Spirit of God doesn't just visit us. It chooses to live in us, to burn quietly until we become vessels of light for others. But the test wasn't over. One Sunday morning, Maya opened her door to find a small envelope lying on the mat. No name, just a wax seal with a single symbol, a flame. Inside was a note, only 4 words. "He's coming for Aaron." No signature, no clue who sent it, just dread. Maya stood still, her pulse racing. She looked out into the street. Empty. The enemy had returned. And this time, it wasn't just physical. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. She paced the floor, Bible in one hand, fear clawing at her mind. What did it mean? Who was coming? Why now? Then, just as before, came the whisper, "My spirit lives in you. Do not fear." Maya fell to her knees. She prayed not out of desperation, but out of authority. She declared over her home, over her brother, over their future, "No weapon formed shall prosper." This house is not empty. It is filled with fire, filled with the breath of God. The next day, Aaron received a message on his phone from an old gang member, a cryptic threat that he'd pay for walking away. Aaron panicked. "We need to leave. They'll find me." But Maya looked him dead in the eye. "We don't run anymore. We rise. If his spirit lives in us, we are not prey. We are the storm." For the first time, Aaron didn't argue. They prayed together that night. For the first time ever. 2 souls once shattered, now blazing. And as they prayed, a strange calm descended. The lights flickered once, then steadied. Maya knew something had shifted in the spirit realm. They were no longer victims. They were vessels. And the war wasn't just against people. It was against darkness itself. But they had something the enemy could never touch. Aaron didn't sleep for 2 nights. The fear of being hunted crept into every shadow. every creaking sound, every flicker of light. Though he had seen worse in his past life, this time the fear felt different, more spiritual than physical. He was no longer afraid of pain. He was afraid of what it might mean to lose everything just when he was starting to heal. Maya remained calm, unnaturally so. Her eyes carried a flame now. Not rage, not desperation, divine resolve. Something deep and ancient moved in her soul. She stood at their apartment window each night, looking out, murmuring scripture under her breath, as though warding off invisible armies. Aaron watched her with awe and confusion. How had she become so strong? He remembered a time when Maya would crumble over the smallest thing, when her sadness was like an open wound. But now, she was a fortress. Something had changed her, and he knew what it was. He hadn't believed it before. But now, after everything, the whisper in the hospital, the recovery, the peace that clung to her like armor, he believed it too. God's spirit lived in her. And maybe, just maybe, it lived in him too. On the third night, it happened. They were sitting at the kitchen table, eating in silence, when someone knocked. 3 knocks. Slow. Heavy. Aaron froze. His fork clattered to the floor. Maya stood, calm as stone. She walked to the door, placed her hand on it, and didn't open it. "Who is it?" she asked. No answer. Just breathing. Then a voice, low and slithering. "Tell Aaron we remember. He owes." Maya didn't flinch. This is not his home anymore. It belongs to God. A laugh. Cold. Hollow. God doesn't come here. He lives here now, Maya said, voice unwavering. And where he lives, no enemy can stay. Suddenly, a loud bang shook the door. Then another, as if someone was trying to break through. Aaron rose, trembling. "Maya, we have to call the police." But before she could reply, the banging stopped. Silence returned. Then a whisper, faint but clear. "We'll be back. You can't protect him forever." They stood in silence. Aaron's hand shook. But Maya? She walked to the center of the room, picked up the Bible, and held it against her chest. "He's not coming back," she said. "Not if we stand in truth." The next day, they reported the threat. Police did a sweep, found no one. No fingerprints. No cameras caught anything. It was as if the visitor never existed. But Aaron knew better. That wasn't just a man. That was something darker, an echo from his past life that refused to let go. And that's when Maya sat him down. "You have to make a choice," she said gently. "Not out of fear, out of purpose. You can't fight shadows with fists. You need fire, the kind only God gives." Aaron swallowed hard. "I don't think I'm worthy." "No one is," she replied, "but he chooses us anyway." That night, Aaron fell to his knees. No theatrics, no holy music, just silence and desperation. "I don't know how to do this," he whispered, "but if you're real, if you truly live in me, then I give you everything. The dirt, the pain, the guilt, all of it." And something happened. He didn't see lights or angels. He didn't hear trumpets. But he felt it, like a flood rushing into a dry place. Warmth filled his chest. Tears fell uninvited. His heart cracked open. Maya watched from the hallway, tears streaming silently. She didn't interrupt. She didn't speak. She just knew Aaron had been claimed by the same spirit that had carried her. A week passed. Then, too, no more threats came. No shadows lingered. Peace settled over them like morning dew. But Maya sensed the story wasn't over. One evening, as she walked home from work, an old man stopped her. He was seated on a bench under a dying tree. His eyes were blind, milky white, but they seemed to see her soul. "You carry fire," he said. She paused. "Do I know you?" "No," he smiled. "But he does. He sent me to tell you. The battle is over, but your purpose is just beginning." Then he stood, handed her a torn photograph, and walked away without another word. She looked down. The photo was faded. A child and a woman. Her. It was her and her mother. A picture she hadn't seen since childhood. One she thought was lost in the house fire. She clutched it to her chest, trembling. "God, wasn't just guiding her present. He was redeeming her past. When she returned home, she found Aaron reading the Bible aloud, his voice steady, confident. He looked up and grinned. I think I want to help people like us. Addicts, broken ones. Maya nodded. You will. And he did. Over the next year, Aaron joined a rehab outreach team. He spoke at meetings, shared his testimony. His story, once a weight, became a weapon of light. Maya, too, found her calling. She started a podcast called The Fire Within. Stories of pain transformed, of God's voice in tragedy, of the Spirit living in people who had every reason to fall but chose to rise. They weren't rich. They weren't famous, but they were free. One afternoon, Maya received an email from a young woman in South Africa. Her name was Lyle. She had been about to end her life until she heard Maya's podcast. Your voice was like an echo of mine, Lyle wrote. You said, my spirit lives in you, and something inside me believed it. I'm alive because of that. Maya wept. It had come full circle. The pain that once made her question God had become the very proof of him. The darkness she thought would swallow her became the place where God made his home, because his spirit doesn't dwell in perfect temples. It lives in broken vessels, rebuilt, remade, redeemed, in Maya, in Aaron, in Lyle, and perhaps in you too. The world will try to tell you that you're forgotten, that your story is a mess, that your wounds disqualify you. But listen closely. In the stillness, in the quiet, you'll hear it too. My spirit lives in you. And when you believe that, truly believe it, everything changes. Not because life gets easier, but because now you carry the flame. And the flame cannot be extinguished. Not by pain, not by fear, not even by death. You are not abandoned. You are not forsaken. You are the dwelling place of the Almighty. So rise, shine, because the fire within you is holy, and it's time the world saw it burn.